NASCAR Cup team owners have clearly shown their displeasure with the revenue negotiations by skipping the organization's quarterly meeting. With teams earning only 25% of the money from NASCAR's huge TV contract with Fox and NBC, it's no surprise that these owners are protesting. Join us on NASCAR Zone as we examine the consequences of the boycott and the implications for the sport's future. But before we dive into that, do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. The Associated Press says that Cup team owners skipped Wednesday's quarterly meeting with NASCAR officials because the two sides couldn't come to an agreement on charters. NASCAR issued a statement Wednesday. NASCAR is committed to open and productive dialogue on a regular basis with all industry stakeholders. We remain committed to continuing discussions in the spirit of collaboration and with the shared goal of growing our sport for the benefit of all stakeholders. According to a story published on Wednesday by the Associated Press, the Team Owner Council conveyed to NASCAR its belief that talks should be postponed because they feared the conference would be hijacked by conversation primarily about charters. According to the Associated Press, NASCAR intended to host the meeting, but the teams decided against attending. According to a story by The Athletic, the owners of NASCAR teams want the charter system to remain in place, but NASCAR President Jim France is reportedly dead set against making it permanent. The charter agreement that NASCAR has with Cup teams began in 2016, and it will remain in effect through the 2024 season. The 36 charter teams are required to compete in each and every event as per the terms of the agreement, which also establishes the revenue scheme. The amount of money that a team receives is determined by a number of factors, including its participation in each race, its performance in each race, its performance over the preceding 3 seasons, and the points fund. Still, in order to play in the series, teams must secure sponsorship in order to make up for the difference in costs. The management of Cup teams stated in October of last year that in order to improve their broken business model, they require other revenue streams. Their remarks came after NASCAR turned down a 7-point proposal on a new model made by executives from several racing teams. In October of last year, Jeff Gordon, who is also the vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports, stated, "We're very far apart." Gordon is one of the 4 people who make up the committee that negotiates deals for clubs. The other 3 are as follows: Curtis Polk, an investor in 2311 Racing, as well as Michael Jordan's longtime business manager, Dave Alpern, president of Joe Gibbs Racing, and Steve Newmark, president of RFK Racing. In October, Polk stated that the current economic model for teams is fundamentally flawed. NASCAR responded last October by issuing a statement. NASCAR acknowledges the challenges currently facing race teams. A key focus moving forward is an extension to the charter agreement, one that will further increase revenue and help lower team expenses. Collectively, the goal is a strong, healthy sport, and we will accomplish that together. In October 2017, it was said by Alpern of JGR that additional cuts made by teams would not be the most effective approach for them to achieve financial stability. He explained, "When it comes to cost cutting, one of the things that's kind of surprising in our sport is that when any of the other stakeholders spend money on something, an upgrade, signing someone from another league, it's viewed as an investment within the sport. However, when teams waste money, it's a sign that we're being careless and you need to make cuts. We are all striving to expand the sport, and reducing expenses is not the answer to any of our problems since we are investing in the growth of the sport, whether it be in our people or in our facilities. I am not aware of any other sports leagues or businesses that achieve success through the practice of cutting." Last November, before the last race of the season in Phoenix, NASCAR President Steve Phelps talked about how teams can be more financially stable.
I think race teams probably don't really care about team profitability. I'm telling you, race fans should care about team profitability because it creates better competition on the racetrack, right? That's all. That's what fans care about. They don't care about, profitability of a race team. But it's important, right? Because if teams don't have the money to be able to compete on the racetrack, we're not going to have as good a racing. And so what we're doing is as the sanctioning body is moving forward, having our discussions with the teams that would suggest that we're going to give the teams more money from a revenue perspective. But we also need to work with the race teams on the expense side of things as well, right? And there's a balance there. Like any good business, revenue in, expenses, and look at the profitability on the bottom line is critical. And so we're going to do that. I'm confident we're going to do that and get to a good place with our race teams moving forward. Again, we're not going to talk about what the negotiations are here, but I'm excited about what that future is going to look like with our race teams, because I do believe NASCAR and our race teams coming together, that's a better thing in order to help promote the sport.
What do you think of the NASCAR Cup team owner's unusual move? Tell us in the comments section. Be sure to hit the bell button and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates. In October 2017, Polk stated that the sport is a money printing machine, but that the teams are responsible for putting on the show. The content consists of several teams. The fans tune in each week to watch the drivers, the team owners, and the cars. And that is why the media firms are willing to pay such large sums of money. After the 2024 season, a 10-year arrangement with an estimated total value of $8.2 billion that splits TV money among NASCAR, the tracks, and the teams will come to an end. At each race, 65% of the money received from television broadcasts is given to the tracks, 25% is given to the teams, and 10% is given to NASCAR. Because teams receive a smaller percentage of the money from television broadcasts, they are forced to rely on sponsorship in order to meet their expenses. According to Newmark, sponsorship accounts for approximately 60 to 80% of an organization's total revenue. He pointed out how unusual that is in comparison to other sports. The Fenway Sports Group co-owns RFK Racing and also owns the Boston Red Sox in Major League Baseball, the Pittsburgh Penguins in the National Hockey League, and the Liverpool Football Club in the English Premier League. According to RFK's Newmark, the percentage of a team's total revenue that comes from sponsorship ranges from 8% to 12% in Major League Baseball. The corresponding percentages for the NHL and the Premier League are respectively 17 to 18% and 26 to 27%, respectively. The NASCAR model is much higher than none of these totals, which are significantly lower. The significance of sponsorship to racing teams was brought into sharp relief by the fact that Joe Gibbs Racing had to let Kyle Busch go at the end of the previous season. Mars Incorporated, a longtime sponsor of the club, stated in December 2021 that it would end its involvement with the sport and team following the 2022 season. JGR immediately began looking for a company that would be willing to invest around $20 million into the number 18 team and Busch after this development. Gibbs was left without a sponsor and unable to sign Busch to a new contract after a deal he had made with another company in the summer of 2022 fell through. According to JGR's Alpern, there is no other professional sport in which the signing of your top athlete is completely dependent on the decision of someone at a brand. Imagine if a deal for Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, was held up because the stadium sponsor hadn't decided what they're going to do yet. That is the challenge that we, as race teams, are up against. To tell you the truth, I feel like we've turned into full-time fundraisers. The majority of our time is spent fundraising, not so that we can generate money, but so that we can stay in business. And being overlooked by the teams was just the start. NASCAR got more bad news on Wednesday than just those two items. The TV ratings for last weekend's race in Richmond were published on Tuesday. This is when things started to become worse. That, however, was hardly the worst that could have happened. Worse, since the Coliseum clash, the overall number of people watching television has plummeted dramatically. The Richmond race isn't the best example because it was the first Sunday event on FS1. It was 41.8% less than the previous year's 3/4 mile spring race, which aired on Fox. It was still 11.9% less than the debut Sunday race on FS1 last year. It's a red flag for something a lot worse. In the first 8 races of the season, all of the numbers are lower than they were last year. The clash, 14.8%, Las Vegas, 12.2%, Phoenix, 15.1%, Atlanta, 14.5%, and Coda, 16.6%, have all had their viewership drop by more than 10%. The race in Bristol, Tennessee, on Sunday will be the 8th of the 2023 NASCAR season. The next-gen automobile will be used for the third time since its inception. Let's see what happens there. So that is for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us in the comments what you think about the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more of our videos on NASCAR updates. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.